Hey guys, it's Carrie-Anne for the series premiere of Jessica Jones, Season 1, Episode 1, aka Ladies' Night. And guys, I was definitely really looking forward to this show. Mainly because, one, it works so well with Daredevil. Daredevil was just such a great Marvel series, and it's still one of the best shows of the year, I think, for Netflix. And I think it really got Netflix, to get some really great shows after it, and I was really hoping this show be just as great. Plus, I pretty much knew next to nothing about Jessica Jones except from the trailers we saw, and the trailers really looked great for this show. I was really hoping that this show would be something amazing, and I will say this. While this premiere I don't think was as good as Daredevil's premiere, it still was an amazing premiere. There are so many things I loved about this episode. They crammed so much into this premiere, but they also tried to not do a lot as well. It's a very, subdued show, and it feels very small, and I really like that. And first of all, right away, we kind of get this feel that this is not really a Marvel show. Now, a few things I do want to say before I get to this show. One, if you have kids, do not have them watch this show, okay? This, I heard, is going to be the first, adult Marvel show, and it really is. I mean, Daredevil, yeah, it has really extreme violence, but other than that, kids can pretty much watch it. It's not too bad. Like, there's stuff in it that's obviously really bad, but if your kid can handle violence, I think it's fine. This is something that you have to be my age, be a teenager or older to watch. It really is not something that, young fans of Marvel should be watching, and I like that because it really is the most mature thing that Marvel has done. I think it works very, very well. And right away, in the intro, we already get the feeling this is not like other Marvel shows, because the intro to this show is not big like other shows. I mean, even Daredevil, which felt different from other Marvel shows, still had that epic intro. And this has an intro that's like Homeland. I mean, it's like jazzy music playing. It's really cool. I really do love it. It's like very mysterious. It's like jazzy music. It sounds like the Homeland intro, like I said. And I definitely really love that about the intro. Really great intro overall. So, we start off right away. We get this narration from Jessica Jones talking about all the bad things that happened in New York and how New York is supposedly supposed to be the city that never sleeps, but she does say that they always sleep around. In this city, crime is really bad. This is the same place that, of course, Matt Murdock is in, which is something I do like. If you guys don't know, all the shows that Netflix are going to be doing, this, Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist are eventually all going to come together in Defenders. That's why they all take place in New York, because Jessica Jones going on probably the same time that Daredevil's going on, which I really do like, because that gives them time to, like, do crossovers, and I think it's really great. So, she says that the bad things about New York, which are good for business, such as cheaters, and she excels at finding the bad things about people, and she talks about how clients hire her to find those things, and she does, and I like that we just find out in this, just from this little bit, just what she does, and then those people have to make a decision, and these two choices they have to make. They can either accept it and take action, or deny it and shoot the messenger, and she says most times they choose to take action, and it's very rare that they choose the second option. So right away, we get into a feel of what she does, and I definitely really like that. So man is then thrown through a glass door window. Jessica tells him, and then there's the matter of your bill, and that's obviously who she was talking to. So she walks down the street and continues narrating the bad things that people do, benefiting her. And a bus with an ad for Trish Talk is pointed out on its sides drive by, and we see a lot about Trish Talk. We eventually realize what Trish Talk is, but we see it a lot in this episode. They really did a good job with keeping you intrigued. I mean, there's so many mysterious things in this episode that I definitely really liked. So Jessica stops in Miss Hogarth's office and lies about being summoned there. The two meet and reflects on Jessica denying a job offer unprofessionally. She prefers to work freelance, and Hrothgar says that she's protecting Jessica, but Jessica insists she has a much different motive. And she doesn't know exactly what this motive is right now, but she, obviously, she's not going to tell her what she's really doing. She's not going to really tell her what she does, and, in Hrothgar's office, she describes a case of a brain-damaged dancer, and Jessica then goes out to investigate this brain-damaged dancer. Now, this is definitely very interesting, the way they set this all up, because she then calls Mr. Spears' office and plays along when the receptionist recognizes her fake name. The receptionist tells her about his meeting for drinks tomorrow night, the Soho House, which is members only. She hangs up and realizes that she's out of toilet paper, and just things are really not going well for her. You can tell that things are really not going well here. But what I like about this scene is the way that Jessica was able to make it seem like she really was this, receptionist. I thought it was very smart the way she did that, and you see right away how smart, and how just straightforward she is. I mean, she's not gonna lie about anything. She's very straightforward, and I really like that. She then finishes a drink and goes into bed, and she quickly gets out of bed rather than sleeping. She doesn't sleep. She grabs her things, including some Jim Beam, and heads out. Yes, if you guys don't know, Jessica Jones is an alcoholic. She's an alcoholic. We eventually realize why, but she is right now. So outside, she narrates that this is her line of work, and then in her line of work, you have to know when to walk away. But some cases won't let you walk away. She wants to walk away, but in some of them, she just can't, and this is clearly one of them. So she climbs a fire escape and watches a woman through an apartment window as she gets off a treadmill to eat a quarter pounder, and on the floor beneath, a man sniffs a high heel and a woman approaches him. And that's kind of strange. On the ground level, a man and a woman exit a red door. The man locks up before the two walk down the block, and they stop at an ATM machine. And she takes pictures the whole time, clearly thinking that these could be suspects of what's going on. We don't really know exactly what's going on here, and I like that. Again, I really like the mysteriousness of this show. So a light turns on one of the apartments, and we see Luke Cage, who we get introduced to in this show. I thought it was interesting that they introduced Luke Cage to us in this rather than in Luke Cage. I think the reason they did that is so that way, if you guys don't know, Luke Cage is a big part of Jessica Jones' life. I believe they become lovers in the comic book. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what happens to them, that they end up getting married or something. I'm not really sure. But Luke Cage is it's interesting that they introduced Luke Cage in the show and not Matt Murdock, and I think the reason they did that is because obviously, if they were to introduce Matt Murdock in this episode, and they were to do that whole thing with Jessica Jones and Matt Murdock, people would probably just be talking about Matt Murdock's character, Matt Murdock not having enough to do. That's what they would have done. They would have said, oh, Matt didn't have enough to do, and that's why his premiere wasn't as good. So having Luke Cage in here, a character we don't know as well, really doesn't take away from the episode because he doesn't have his own show yet. His show hasn't happened yet, so we can't really say that they didn't do enough with Luke Cage because he's simply just a character in this show right now. And I think it's very interesting the way they're going to set that up, and eventually he's going to go to his own show, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they set that all up, and I think it's going to be very interesting what they do with him this season, because he is a main character this season. Interesting it is, because again, he is getting his own show, Luke Cage, which is premiering, I believe, in January, next January, something like that, but, I just find it very interesting that, he is a main character in the show, and then he's going to be, in getting his own show. And I think they did a good job with what they did with his character, though. Definitely, they did a good job with him. So he's looking outside, and Jessica recognizes him, and the Purple Man, we don't know this character's name yet. We do eventually learn his name. Obviously, we know his name, because you guys have probably seen it from the trailers, but he gets in Jessica's ears and says, he's just saying things like, you want to do it, you do. She comes back to reality and says Birch Street, Higgins Drive, and a woman in her underwear approaches Luke and starts kissing him, removes his shirts, and Jessica then drinks her drink, and she then wakes up hungover in bed. She flings a shoe at the ceiling to quiet her neighbors, and a piece of the ceiling crumbles down, and she left her phone unplugged all night, which is pretty crazy, but outside of her bedroom, she hears things moving around and gets up to investigate, and we meet this guy, Malcolm, who is in her kitchen, and it's unaware if she knows him or not. I'm pretty sure she doesn't, and he wakes up, and obviously she wants to know what the hell he's doing in her apartment because she didn't let him in, and she tells him it is hers, and sends him on her way, and that's definitely very interesting that he just kicked her, basically, that it's her apartment, and she sends him on her way, so she really doesn't know why he's in her apartment, which is quite interesting. So man and woman are outside her door when she opens and introduces themselves. They flew in from Olmashaw to find their missing daughter, and she invites them in, and basically the mother then, and we start to find out a little bit more about this character, Hope, her name is. Now, the thing I love about this episode is that you pretty much think, oh, this is just going to be a simple case where there's this girl, Hope, they ended in this episode. I'll get into that. I thought this was definitely very interesting. The mother explains their daughter was at NYU, but she moved out of her apartment and quit her team after saying she's going to take a break. And the police told them there was no sign of a crime. The police referred to them, to Jessica, and the father keeps trying to fix Jessica's door, which I thought was pretty funny, the way he was just trying to fix her door while the mother was going on and on. So, we already know some background about this character, and I really like that we found out about that in this episode. Excuse me, but like I said, the thing I really liked here is because, we pretty much think this is just going to be an open and shut case, and that's what Jessica thinks it's going to be as well. We'll get into that, though, because it definitely is very interesting. So Jessica looks through images on her computer of the couple's daughter and finds a photo with a friend and goes out to investigate, because it does seem very strange. Obviously, she was on this team, and then suddenly she's going to take a break. It just doesn't seem real, and she knows there's definitely something more going on. So Jessica knocks on the door, enters an apartment, and one of the two roommates inside is recording a year in his life. The other is stuck with a new roommate since Hope left, and the new roommate has a box of Hope stuff in his closet, and the girl mentions a guy who Hope is staying with, and Jessica finds a piece of mail sending her in the right direction, and obviously wants to find out who this man could be. So outside of a club, Jessica watches a man who gets into a Maserati and drives off. She catches up to him and asks for directions to the Chrysler building. He rudely dismisses her and tries to drive off, but she grabs his back bumper and lifts the car. This was so awesome. I mean, this is the first instance we get of Jessica's powers, and if you guys don't know, she can levitate things. That's what she can do. She has a lot of mind control. She can, well, not really mind control, but she can levitate things, which is really cool, and I thought it was interesting the way she just openly used her powers here. He tries to get out, but she continuously slams the door on him. She gives Spears his summons, and that was awesome. That scene where she was just a badass, I loved it. I thought it was really great stuff. She gives Sirius his summons, and she explains that people won't believe she can lift his car before they call him crazy. She tells him he's been served, and takes a picture of him, and that was awesome. I love that scene. So she's sleeping as we again see this purple light thing creep up, and something touches her. And again, she says Birch Street, Higgins Drive. We don't know what this means, but she keeps saying it throughout the episode, and we don't really know what's going on here. Again, I really love the mysteriousness and uncertainty of really what's going on. So the phone rings, and Hrothgar tells Jessica Spears contacted his attorney and said he was threatened by her laser eyes. And a woman then, now here's where we get to the part of the show where I'm not really loving this. A woman approaches Hrothgar and starts kissing her neck as she gives, Hogarth, as she starts kissing her neck as she gives Jessica a compliment, and okay, whatever. Hogarth, if you guys don't know, was originally a man, so that's why they have her. It's interesting that they chose her to be a lesbian in this show, something that Marvel hasn't really done yet, which I think is cool. It also really goes to the adult tone of the show. The thing is with Hogarth is just, this is all they really do with her in this episode, which I'll get into that. But Jessica walks down the city streets, approaches the red door from earlier, and rather than entering, she looks inside through the windows. This was interesting. She doesn't enter the door. She looks through the windows, kind of seeming like she's waiting for someone to get there. And then Luke approaches her and tells her she could drink her whiskey out of glass. He tells her that there's better stuff inside, but she never comes in. And he tells her that it's ladies' night, a new promotion he's now running because she's local and hot, which tends to attract customers. And now we know why the episode's called Ladies' Night, because this is something that he's doing. He goes inside the bar through the red door. Jessica takes a second before following, and the bartender, Roy, leaves. Luke tells Jessica last call. She orders a double. The two make some small talk. She tells him she's a private investigator, and he's quickly intrigued. He obviously wants to know what's going on with her, and she jokes about her skills, but he wonders why she has been watching him, because obviously there has to be a reason. She says he cares about the bar more than anything or anyone. So far, all she's seen is that he's always at this bar, and he seems to be very dedicated to it, and right away, they just have sex. I mean, I love the way that they just randomly had them have sex. I mean, no Marvel show has done something like that. We haven't really had a sex scene in this show, and I thought it was well done that they did that here. And it definitely worked. Definitely goes with the tone of the show. So they lie next to each other for a moment, but Jessica gets up to go into the bathroom, wash herself up. You can tell she wants no emotional attachment to Luke whatsoever. This is just some random man to her. So she looks through his medicine cabinet, finds a picture of a woman, and closes it before getting emotional. And we don't know who this woman is, but clearly she has an attachment to this woman. We don't know what's going on with her, and I really like that. Again, I really like not knowing why she's crying, because there has to be a reason why. So she quickly gets dressed and leaves, and you start to wonder, did she know that Luke had connections to this woman? Is that why she had sex with Luke? Is that why she went through this whole thing with Luke? Or was it just some random encounter? I mean, you don't really know, and I think it's a very interesting the way they handled that. So back at her apartment, Jessica is kept awake by the loud neighbors above her, and that's something you have to deal with in the city. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that Jessica, I don't think, has lived in the city as long as we think she has. I don't think she's used to this city environment, because clearly she is very disturbed by her loud neighbors, but that's something you just have to deal with in New York City. So the phone rings, and Hope's mom is on the line. Jessica tells her of charges made by Hope, then investigates them at a lingerie store. and Jessica posts up on a Trish Talk ad and takes notes. Again, we keep seeing these ads. What do they mean? We don't know. So she goes to an establishment where she is hesitant to enter. She really doesn't want to enter this establishment because she doesn't know what's going to happen. She asks if it's being used to be Russo, and she says the new restaurant opened 8 months ago. And Jessica shows a photo of Hope and questions why she was there. And the man tells her about Hope's companion demanded a specific table where people were already sitting, and the host leaves his mind momentarily and asks the patrons to leave. So that's really interesting that we found this out. And the room changes colors, and Jessica then sees herself having dinner at the restaurant with a man. She starts to freak out over who this is, and we don't know who this is yet. And the host says what the man ordered. Jessica finishes his sentence. She runs out of the restaurant, staying Birch Street, Higgins Drive. Obviously, she is traumatized. Clearly, there's something that's going on with her. We don't know what it is, and I love that. So she shows up to Hope's parents' house, questions who sent them to her. Her father admits it wasn't a policeman. It was a man filing a complaint, and he overheard the conversation. He had a British accent, and Jessica, this seems to be pointing to all the clues that this man from Jessica's past had, who we don't know who this man is, but he clearly has connections to her past. So Jessica tells him to go home, not let anyone near them, before storming off to pack and book a trip to Hong Kong, and her car is declined. The airline won't hold the ticket. So she calls Hogarth and demands payment immediately, but she won't pay her or give her a loan. She hangs up. Another woman then greets her with a kiss as the one from the other night looks on. Again, I don't care. This is the only thing that I genuinely don't care about in the show. I don't give two shits about this storyline, and I hope they don't focus on it, because right now, unless they do something interesting with it, I just don't care. So Jessica sits on her bed trying to find a solution. She calls someone and hangs up. And in the elevator, again, we don't know who she's calling, but it's in the elevator. Malcolm grabs the door just as was going to close. She tells him she needs money. He offers her his TV, which he stole, apparently. He apparently stole this TV, and we don't know why, but he stole this TV. So then we get to the really big scene in this episode. And this scene I really love. The last, 5 minutes of this episode are truly something amazing. I love, the last, 10 to 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. They were just awesome. I loved it. I mean, the episode was already great, but this really made the episode as great as it was. And really, I think, showed the potential the show has. So Trish from Trish Talks talks to her producers and says she wants Madeline Albright. And she notices Jessica through her window, wraps up her meeting with the producers, and she greets Jessica, who tells her that she's there for some sort of case, and we realize that Trish right away knows Jessica. She's been keeping up with, and of course, we've seen all these Trish Talk ads, so now we start to realize who Trish really is. Trish has been keeping up with her to make sure she's okay. Jessica asks for money, and Trish wants to know why. Jessica tells her he's back, and clearly, again, Trish knows about this man. But Trish insists she saw him die, and this is just PTSD, and Jessica says that this is not her PTSD, and that makes sense to what's going on with Jessica. She has PTSD. They thought this man was dead, and he's not. So Jessica explains how he sent clients to her. Trish wants to call the police, but Jessica says they can't help. She wants to run, and Trish wants to get Hope back safely, and Jessica is much better equipped to deal with the man than an innocent girl from Omaha, and this is something I loved here. Again, you think this is just going to be an open and shut case, but it's not. This is clearly connected to a man from her past, and I love the way the show is willing to do that. You guys know I don't like procedural shows, and this is exactly how to not do a procedural show, which I love. This is how you don't do a procedural show. Which sounds bad, but what I'm trying to say is that this is how you make a show, from a procedural show to a serial show. And the show did that just in the matter of the first episode, and they did it very, very well. Because I really thought it's just going to be a simple case, and it's not. In fact, Hope is a main character, if you guys don't know that. Hope is going to be a main character on the show, and I didn't even think about that happening. So Trish wants to get Hope back safely. Jessica's much better equipped to deal with the man than an innocent girl from Omaha. And Jessica says that she tried and failed and was never the hero that Trish wanted her to be. And clearly she's a failed superhero. She used to be a superhero, but she's not now. And she really feels like she's failed her. And I like this relationship between Jessica and Trish. I mean, obviously, Trish really cares about her, but Jessica really doesn't want to give herself credit where credit is due, and I really felt bad for Jessica here. She really feels like she's in this depression, she's not happy with herself, and it's very interesting. So, that scene was great, and I love that scene there. But then we get to the ending. She rides in the cab with an envelope full of money. She tells the cab driver, stop at 59th and 5th. The doorman recognize her as she walks in the hotel. She pulls the fire alarm. People start to emerge from their rooms as the bell rings and lights flash. Purple visions flash by. She goes into a room, and which is dark and quiet inside. A man says that says you missed me, and reaches for it, and she reaches for it, but it is gone when she turns around. So, clearly, again, the man is trying to talk to her, and we don't know if this is, like, her subconscious, or if he's really trying to connect with her. We don't really know what he's doing. So, in a bedroom, Jessica finds a lifeless Hope on the bed, and she asks if Kilgrave, yes, Kilgrave is going to be our villain in this show, is there, and she says no. Now, Kilgrave, obviously, it's awesome to have him on the show. We're going to get into that. But he left over 5 hours ago, and she tells Hope to get dressed, but she says she can't move. She tells her parents to meet her at her apartment, and Hope tells Jessica she wet the bed. Jessica tries to get her out of the bed, but Hope fights her, screaming, I can't leave. But after struggle, Jessica wins, when Hope is knocked out by hitting her head on the wall, and obviously, Jessica knows what Kilgrave is capable of, so she obviously doesn't want the same thing happen to Hope, and Hope explains to Jessica that Kilgrave made her do things she didn't want to do, but she wanted to, even though she said she didn't want to. Jessica asks what street she lived on as a kid, and she says it was Harrison Street, and she tells Jessica that the next block over Florence, and Jessica tells Hope that none of it is her fault, and insists she understands. She makes Hope say, it's not my fault. Her parents rush in, greet her. Jessica urges them to keep her as far away from Kilgrave as possible. Hope hugs Jessica and says that she saved her life, and we really do see that this is not going to be some procedural show. We're going to see Hope again, clearly, and Jessica's probably going to look after her. So Jessica walks down the hallway as the elevator door closes. Hope draws a gun from her purse. She hears Hope fire several shots right in, this is the point where you think the thing with Hope is over. But then Hope draws a gun from her purse, fires several shots, races down the bottom floor where Hope's parents have been shot dead, and Hope is standing there with a now unloaded gun, telling Jessica smile, before coming back to reality and realizing she just shot her parents, and she's crying. So clearly, Kilgrave is controlling her, and we don't really know how he operates, but she's clearly under his control, and this is definitely very interesting. As others rush to the elevators, Jessica walks outside to a cab, and it's really crazy the way they did that scene. I mean, I didn't really know what was going to happen there, but just the fact that she started going crazy and shot her parents like that is pretty insane. So that was just really crazy, and you can tell that Hope is going to be a lot harder to deal with, and now she has no parents, so Jessica's probably going to be the one to look after her killing her parents. And then we get to the ending, which Jessica narrates that when you know something is real, you have two choices: keep denying it or do something about it, and that's how the episode ends. So overall, guys, a amazing premiere. I really loved everything that happened in this premiere. I mean, it's a really mysterious show. We don't fully know what's going on, and I like that. I don't really want to know what's going on. There's so many things I love. One of the things, like I said, that I've loved, and I've said this many times, is the fact that Jessica Jones isn't a superhero. She's a retired superhero. She feels like she's failed as a superhero, and now she's this private investigator, and it's really interesting the way that she's basically being pulled back into that life. Even though she wanted to get away from it, she's now being pulled back into it, and I really like that. Let's get to a little bit more about the show. The cast in the show is just great. I think everyone in the show really does a great job, especially Krysten Ritter as Jessica Jones. She is perfect in this role, because Jessica Jones not only is a very strong female character, but also is very wounded. You really see the trauma that she's going through. You see how much this has affected her. Clearly, she's been through a lot. You can just tell from this episode that Jessica Jones has been through a lot. There's a lot that she's dealing with that we don't know about yet, and I still feel we're not going to know about for several episodes, and I really like that. I don't really want to know what's going on with her for a while. I mean, we know she's suffering from PTSD, but what did Kilgrave do to her that made her like this? Why does she feel like she failed? We don't know any of this, and I really like that. And she really does a great job commanding this show. She carries the show so well. I was so invested with her character. I felt like I already knew her. I mean, just her introduction was perfect. And the thing about her character, that you think you already know her when you really don't. I mean, we don't know half the shit that's going on with her. We don't know anything that's happened to her and what she's been through, and I really love that. She's already a great character, and she really does a great job. And the other thing I like is that she's not at all like Matt Murdock. She obviously hasn't had the same sort of thing that Matt Murdock's been through, because we knew what Matt Murdock was going through. We don't really know what Jessica's going through, and I like that. They did a really good job of separating the two characters and making it a very different kind of show. I mean, this show overall, the tone is very different. I'll get into that. Mike Colter as Luke Cage. Again, we didn't really see him too much in this episode, but for what he's in, he really did a great job. I hear we see him a lot more in the second episode, which I am gonna watch immediately after this review. I will tell you guys that I'm gonna watch the first two episodes probably today, and then the third episode, maybe the third episode today. I'm not sure. Of course, I'm gonna do what I do, where I watch it when I feel like it, because I think it works really well. But Luke Cage is great in the show. He really does a great job. The chemistry between these two is really great, and you can tell that there's something going on with him. We don't know what it is. He's hiding something clearly that he's just not telling Jessica. Does Jessica know him? Does he know her? I mean, we don't know what's going on, and I definitely really like that. And I think they did a good job with introducing him here and not in Luke Cage. I really like Rachael Taylor as Trish. Clearly, Trish is just looking out for her. I mean, Trish, obviously, they were really good friends, and now it's kind of strained because of what Jessica's gone through. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's really going to happen between Trish and Jessica, because obviously Trish really wants to help, while Jessica clearly just wants to do this on her own, because Trish doesn't have those powers, and Trish can't really help her, so we'll have to see what's going on with that. Her character as a whole, though, I think is really great, and they really did a great job with her. There are some characters we still have yet to meet, like Will Travel's Will Simpson. My only real problem with this show, to be honest with you guys, is Carrie-Anne Moss's character, Jerry Hogarth. Not that I don't like Jerry, I think she's a good character. I just don't give a shit about anything that's going on with her. I really don't. I don't care what's going on. I don't understand what they're really trying to do with her. So far, all they did with her in this episode is that she has some girlfriend, then she has some other girlfriend. I'm not really sure what's going on there. I hope they explain it more, because I want to be invested with the character. Let's just hope they don't focus on it a lot. If they don't focus on it a lot, it's not going to be a problem. If they do, then that could be a huge problem for this show. I really want them to explain what she's going through, and I don't want this to be the kind of show where you just have a lesbian couple to have a lesbian couple. We know the Vampire Diaries does that, and it's really not working. I hope they do that better on this show than I think they're going to do, because right now, at least, I'm really not invested in her character at all. Who I really love is Erin Moriarty as Hope. Holy shit, she's great. I mean, again, I really thought this was just going to be a simple open and shut case with her. I didn't really think there was going to be anything that big going on with her. But no, clearly she's being controlled by David Tennant's character, Kilgrave. And I can't wait to see what's going on with her. Why is he doing this? What is this going to do to Jessica? Does he want to be back with Jessica? And also, David Tennant as Kilgrave. We have yet to see him. I already know he's going to be amazing. I mean, this is a villain we've never dealt with in the Marvel Universe. Someone who can control people completely and be under their control, the mind control he has, what he's done to her. He's such a mysterious character, and I love that. But I've also heard he's going to be a bit like Wilson Fisk, where we actually do agree with some of the things that he's doing, and we understand what he's going through. I kind of think he doesn't really think he's doing anything wrong. I think it's very interesting what Kilgrave's going to do in the show. I'm definitely looking forward to his character. I think he's going to be probably a better villain than Wilson Fisk, honestly. The way this is going, that's different than Wilson Fisk. And Wilson Fisk was more like the gangster, kind of like suave character who freaked out a lot, but had a good heart. And I feel like Kilgrave's kind of the same way. Like, he has a good heart, or he has good intentions, but he's still a villain. He doesn't really see that. It's a very interesting, I'm very interested in seeing really what's going to happen there. Someone I really do want to commend is Melissa Rosenberg as the creator of this show. She really did a great job making this unlike anything Marvel's ever done before. I mean, like I said, the only thing that's close to this is Agent Carter, but even that doesn't have the same feel as this show. This does not feel like a Marvel show at all. It definitely is more of a psychological noir show than I think Marvel's ever done. It feels small, it doesn't feel big, and I really like that. It's definitely a small show with a big idea, and I think they are doing that very, very well. It shows you don't need a lot of things to just make a great show. You need a really compelling cast, you need a really great story, and I think they did that very well here, and I like the mysteriousness of what's going on so far. Definitely really great stuff there. The cinematography is just amazing to the show. It looks great. It's awesome to watch. They did a great job with it. I love the cinematography. And the score as well is great. It's so jazzy and different from anything Marvel has done. And I thought they handled the score very, very well. And I definitely really like that. And the screenplay as well is also very, very compelling. But overall, guys, I already love this show. I really do. Other than my one problem, like I said, with Jerry's character, if they can fix her character, then I'll be completely fine. Honestly, other than Jerry, I'm fine with this show. I really think it's gonna be a great show. I think it's potentially better than Daredevil, even though this episode wasn't better than the Daredevil premiere. I do think this has potential to be better than Daredevil, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they're gonna do with that. Let me know what you guys thought of this premiere. I absolutely loved it. I think this is a great show so far. And I am going to watch the second episode next. That is going to be my next review, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.